Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Hendricks-LIN in the 3-minute pool on ICC. Alright, so let's play knight f3 on move 2, and I'll play a Torre with bishop g5, and then develop... Oh, okay, that's new. I guess in that case I'll take and play this structure. Alright, I'll put the pawn on e4 and grab the space in the center. So black has this slightly compromised structure, but probably they'll look to push f5 at some stage. Let's take that. And if queen takes d5, I can try to establish a big center with c4. There's definitely some parallels to a Scandinavian going on here. So I'll do that. Bishop b4 check comes to mind. I can play knight c3 in that case. If black checks me on the e file, I'll just block with my bishop. So let's play this way. I think bishop b4 makes sense, even though you might think they would tuck the bishop on b7 and then play f5. Okay, so queen d2 or something else. I think queen d2 is all right. Although black could take, but I like the fact that I'm hitting h6. So if black castles, maybe I can play like bishop e2, castle myself, and observe this pawn. I do put myself even more so in a pin on this diagonal by playing this way. And note that I can't take on h6 right away because black would play bishop takes c3, so I have to bide my time, which is fine by me. So let's castle. I kind of want to play d5 here. I suspect knight e5 will be the answer. Let's play a3. Not sure I'm gaining much after takes. Rook c1, they might take anyways. Let's actually do this. I'm going to play this way. And then play rook c1, I think. So switching up my move order ever so slightly. Now if bishop g4, I'll take e5, and assuming bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, I should win a pawn. F takes e5, queen takes e5 check at the very end of that line. Meanwhile, rook ac1 helps because if black takes on c3, I could take with the rook. Although that leaves a2 hanging, I don't think they could take it because their queen would experience problems if that happened. Same thing here. Maybe they can get away with taking. So if rook takes, queen takes a2, could they actually do it? Is rook a3, queen takes c4? It's awfully risky, but I think they get away with it if they play that way. I'm going to dare them, actually. Let's see if they go for it. I might play like c5 and d6, something along those lines. Certainly taking here requires some guts. Yeah, and black declines to do it. Okay, now I'll just play a3, looking to play b4, follow up. Let's attack that queen. Gotta watch that time a little bit. Queen a4. Bishop d1 does not quite trap. g4 is interesting, as is c5. Bishop d1, queen d7. The thing I like about g4... Wow, could that actually work? g4, I'm going to try it. So my thinking is if bishop d7, then bishop here would trap. And now with this, I can play f3 next. This actually traps their bishop in the middle of the board, which is really unusual. Okay, it's not quite trapped, but after I play this move, it should be. Just double checking, yeah. As we're hitting the bishop this way. Not often you see a bishop on b1 in a position like this where black's other pieces are on the last two ranks. So yeah, black is just going to sacrifice and hope for the best. They can take this pawn if they want. If they take with a rook, I'll probably play h3 and proceed from there. Let's go here and hit the pawn on f6. I might even triple up. We'll see. Okay, let's actually go here. Offer a trade of queens. If queen b6, I have c5. So that's not working too well for them. Yeah, should be winning with some care. Just got to make sure their rooks don't become too active. So let's do this. My bishop is not quite participating, but no big problem. Okay, we can just trade everything off here. I think playing this and then trying to run the... Let's do this. They have rook c3, I guess. As long as I protect the c-pawn, I should be all right. I want to go c5 and then d6 is my ultimate plan here. But he's doing a good job of blockading. Okay, let's take that. He plays c4. Okay. Yeah, again, I'm not doing the best job of converting, especially since he can do that. Now he's got kind of a fortress going on. Let's take this. Okay, give it a check. Well, we're making some progress into the position. Rook g8 coming. King f6. Really dangerous for him. Now I'm threatening rook h1. And that's mate. Okay, my conversion wasn't good. The clock was becoming a factor. But we were able to set up a checkmate. My king, rook, and bishop were all participating very nicely at the end. I underestimated how much play he got with the rook on the third rank after these trades. I kind of just dismissed these trades and thought I was going to win easy after this. But I do have a lot of targets. The bishop is attacked. The pawn on h3 is attacked. The pawn on a3 is attacked. Yeah, it's a practical matter of converting the winning position. This is a cool trap, though, the way this played out. g4. Let me just check. Engine could not be started. Why can't the engine be started? That's weird. I wonder if I changed something with my parameters. I switched around some of the files on my computer, so I wonder if the engine is in a different location now. Huh, that's weird. Okay, so we're going to have to go engine-less for the moment, but I think g4 is working. It's neat how that played out. Maybe they could play bishop c8. Even though that completely undevelops the bishop, that would give the queen access to d7, so that might be the best move here, considering that e4 and d7 are the only other squares, and if the bishop goes to d7, as I was describing, then bishop d1 would win the queen because its flight square on d7 is taken away. All right, let's get back in the pool. Big news in the world of AI and also games, as today, one of the best Go players in the world, this guy named Lee Sedol, lost a match to Google's AI called AlphaGo, which is a program that has made a lot of strides in recent months, really, and is quickly rising up the ladder in Go. And it's the first time that a computer has managed to beat like a seasoned Go professional. And I think up till recently, computers were having trouble even beating like amateur Go players, is how far behind the curve computers were compared to like top chess computers, for instance. So I only have like a passing knowledge of Go and its complexities, but I've been following this match. It's being broadcast on YouTube actually as I speak. So I've been following that with interest. Rook c1, so this lines up with my queen on c7. How do I deal with this? I think just bishop e7. Wait, did I get the move order wrong here? I meant to play bishop e7 on the previous move. Knight bd7 was inaccurate. Okay, I'm going to do this then for this reason. I'm already down a little time against Prometeo 77. Good rating from this player, 2403. Yeah, I think bishop e7 on the previous move is more accurate. As I've played before, I should have remembered that. Because that way white would be more likely to take my bishop. This maneuver is interesting as well, though, just trying to reinforce d5. What's it going to be, Prometeo? So if c takes d5, I'll take with my e-pawn. It looks a little dangerous to have the queen lined up with the rook, and it is. I have to be aware of tactical shots. But like knight takes d5 would not work. Knight b5, I can just play queen d8 there. So that's covered. I wonder what's going on here. He's not lagging. That's weird. Maybe he's just thinking hard about what to do. g3, okay, so let's do this and then get ready for this swap if white so desires it. He could keep the knight on h4 for now. Occasionally you see knight g2 to f4. This little maneuver. I expect white to castle now. He does take at this point, okay. Let's play, I'm kind of thinking rook a d8 is the move. Again, reinforcing and getting ready in the event of knight b5 to play queen b8. Good chance he's getting ready for e4. So how do I address that? Rook fe8. Yeah, let's try rook fe8. And if bishop f2, maybe bishop f8. We'll play that way. e4 requires more preparation. I don't think he can do it right now. I have 3 defenders on this square. So he needs to prep that move. Maybe knight c8 to d6. It's a maneuver that's possible. I'm going to try it, because my knight on its current square is not very well placed. So let's reroute. I have to be careful, though. If I go knight d6 on the next move, he can take on d5, I think. Although then I can play knight f5 thereafter. So that might not be that bad. I can go back to b3 in that case. Okay, I better do this first. Just get the queen out of the way. Planning knight d6 on the next move. Focusing on that e4 square. Maybe I'll even go b5 and knight c4. I think this is a good plan. Let's try it. And I'm going to try to speed up now as well. He's getting ready for e4. Well, he can't do it, though. If e4 take, I have b4 ideas. a4. He's going to go e4. He's getting ready. Okay, I'm going to do this. If b3, knight a3 is my thinking. Just trying to make some inroads. Annoy him a little bit. Okay, let's go here. If takes, I'm going to play b4, having taken away the square for his knight to go to. He might just ignore it and play e4 all the same. Maybe queen b6 then. This is a subtle game. More subtle than the 40-odd seconds that both him and I have. Knight b1 probably. I can go knight c4 in that case. Can also do this. I'm going to do that. See if he'll take, and then I can try to win the a4 pawn. I'm doing very well on the clock now. Let's go here. I'm going to try to go knight b5 and then get my knight to c3. He's probably going to play e5. So let's do that. I'm going to bring this over. Keep this pawn on d5 just to restrict his play. Let's go here. Offer a trade, which I doubt he'll take. Now, if this knight moves maybe queen c3, I'm thinking. He's got 10 seconds left. He's got to hustle. He's not going to make it on the clock. It's just the reality of it. I'm too solid here as well. Yeah. So that bit of speed that we exhibited right around this moment where we started pushing the queenside pawns, b5 and then a5, really paid off. I think this plan kind of confused him and made him hesitate in the center with e4. White's entire setup is geared towards a pawn break using his majority. So basically the h-pawn through the d-pawn. And I like that I put my majority to work and was able to fight back. Pretty good game, I think, for a 3-minute game. So we take that one. Let's get back in the pool. I've seen Prometeo 77 before. I wonder if I played them in the 5-minute pool. Their 5-minute rating is 2441. If you play this line for either white or black, you just have to be very aware of the tension on the c-file. You could see that my queen was seemingly in limbo for many moves, lined up with white's rook on c1, and I had to at all times make sure white couldn't punish me for that. That's why knight b6 was important way back in the opening, right here. If I hadn't played that, then the idea c takes d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5 could be possible. And if I were to take, my queen on c7 would be hanging at the end of the line. So knight b6. Sometimes white plays c5 here, but black is happy to go back to d7 and claim that the queen side is closed. But really, the more accurate move order is bishop e7. And I've had some games like that on my channel. The more I play this line, the more I realize it's all about controlling the e4 move. That's the move that white desperately wants to achieve. And if they get to play e4, you can land in trouble real quick here as black, because that pawn's coming to e5 and pushing you back even further. White has the bishop pair. Right now, the bishops aren't strong on f2, e2, but if the positions opens up slightly, they can be assassins real quick. So right around here looks like a critical moment. Okay, we get another game against matmaster. Let's play d4 again. Stick with what we know best. And a queen's gambit accepted. I'm going to play knight f3. I recommended e3 in the chessable repertoire, but I also play knight f3. It's a good move. Yeah, this is some fairly new stuff. Bishop g4 and e6. I know there's a book by... I forgot who the author is. It's a Chess Stars book, I believe, that recommends this setup. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm just playing by feel here. Maybe d5. d5 seems interesting. I'll play that. Maybe we get a trade in the center. I think a more challenging way to play is, instead of like what I did with bishop e2 and castles, playing g4, bishop g6, and then knight h4 and trying to go after that bishop pair. But I'm just choosing a calmer option. Knight takes e5 doesn't work. It would be nice if it did. I feel like black really wants to get in b5. They also want to blockade my pawn. b6 is certainly tempting, but I'm afraid that my b6 pawn would just fall. So that's why I'm not playing that move right now. e4 would be the normal move here, but you know what I'm going to play? I'm going to play this. And then if bishop d6, I'll probably play knight d2 and start trying to maneuver. Yeah, let's do this. See if we can get a trade of the bishops. My knight will be well placed on c4. Maybe I'll play e4 as well. In fact, I think e4 is probably a good move here. Let's do it. We need to open up for our dark square bishop. So I'm going to put my knight on c4 next and figure out where I can bring my dark square bishop later. I might even just keep it on c1 for a while. In some ways, this reminds me of a Benoni structure, except that the pawn's on e5 rather than d6. So let's proceed. Maybe black is going to move the bishop and try to put the knight on d6. That would be kind of an awkward plan, though. Not necessarily a good one. Okay, so knight there. I could play knight e3. Let's do that. Now they have to think about knight f5, and maybe that buys me time to play a5 and then knight c4. So kick their knight and go right back to the c4 square. I don't want to trade yet. Taking the bishop I don't think would have been good because black would have brought their knight in there. And that bishop's not a great piece anyways for black. It's just purely blockading. The knight would be better placed on that square. Okay, so let's do this, and then we're going to bring the knight back to its rightful location. Now I have bishop h6 ideas as well, which might distract black because this knight could have to go to g7. Yeah, as it just did. I think black's now going to pivot and try to play for f5. They're going to change their plan a little bit. I'm tempted to go after this pawn now. I'm also tempted to play something like knight a4, but I think they really want to achieve f5. If I play bishop h6, are they going to go queen h4, something along those lines? I think this is all right. I can't think for too long in a 3-minute game, so let's just do this. It's annoying for black for sure. Now I really want to play f4, followed by e5. That has to be strong. I'm going to do it. He might play f6 to try to blockade further. Yeah, I don't think black can allow this to happen. Once these pawns get rolling in the center, this is very difficult. So the bishop's going to retreat, to b8. I could play d6. They gain the e6 square then, but I think that's worth it because I get knight e4 in next move. I'm not worried about regaining this pawn as soon as possible. That can wait. Yeah, let's just go here. This knight is still pinned. We take on f8. I guess they could play knight h5, but then I check on f6 and then take on f8. So the check on f6 is awfully annoying for them, which I can do right now. Even better than taking the rook straight away, because here I just win a full piece. He has knight d4, but just queen d3, for instance. It's an entire rook, and black's pieces are all jumbled up on the queen side as well. Okay, let's take this way. We're getting a little low on time, so just keep that in mind. Take here. So we're going to be up that rook. Let's take here. Bring this over. Powerful knight on f6 still. I can basically play for checkmate too. Rook h4. Let's do that. I don't see a great way for them to defend outside of h5, which must be losing soon. Actually, if h5, I can play rook takes h5, g takes h5, queen h7 mate. Yeah, so he resigned. Okay, so we were able to achieve a nice position. I think this is instructive. Anytime you're looking at a trade in chess, an exchange, you have to be able to elaborate on why that exchange is beneficial for you, or at the very least break even, right? It sounds basic, but I've mentioned this before in my videos. If you can't describe why a trade is helpful to you or neutral, then you shouldn't make that trade, pure and simple. And here, after knight b6, I don't think I gain anything by agreeing to trade on b6 or on d6. Certainly taking the bishop would be helpful to black. They get to get their knight off the back rank and get into a blockading role. Knights are great blockaders of passed pawns. That's exactly what black would like to do here in regards to my d-pawn. His knight on b6 isn't very well placed. If I take it, black just gets to activate their queen. So knight e3, I feel like that's a move that to a strong player is natural, but to a somewhat low-rated player, that may be an eye-opening thing, like preserving a piece from a trade because you realize that your knight or your piece has greater potential value. I'm saying that I think my knight will be more valuable going forward than this knight on b6, especially since I was able to play a5 next and then reestablish the knight on c4. And this worked out very well. My position unfolded nicely. Got the bishop in, and then this f4 break. I think it's tantamount to self-destruction for black to take here and allow e5. I've got too much play. So probably their best chance is f6, but it's very shaky. This knight on c8 interferes with black's coordination with the rooks not communicating with each other. So black's already in rough shape. Possibly the e5 move was a mistake. Maybe it was simpler for black to just trade and try to complete their development. Maybe c5 is even rushed a little bit. Black's position looks reasonable here, though. Okay, let's get back in the pool. Dpache. Let's stick with d5. We've been having success with this. And we'll play a pretty standard line against London. Play the queen to b6, attack this pawn. Knight c3 is kind of a sharp move here that I should be more aware of. I always forget that they can play knight c3. Okay, I'm going to play a6 because I really am worried about the b5 square in a lot of cases. Am I falling for something? All right, show me. He played d takes c5 so quickly, I'm scared. But this has got to be all right for me, right? I'm going to play knight c6 next if allowed. Maybe he'll go knight a4 right now, but I'm not really scared of that move, I don't think. I almost want to leave this queen in the center, but I think developing and going for this trade is fine. e4. Okay, so he advances. Could have a bunch of swaps, but that's kind of boring. Let's play this. Just try to kick his knight to a bad square. If knight a4, bishop a7, I'm thinking. Okay, so knight h5 perhaps. I'd like to play e5, but I can't achieve that move yet. He might go knight e5 if he gets a chance. I think I'm going to go here, just so I can play e5 coming up. This is a bit time-consuming is the only problem. Do I really need to play that? I mean, he might play e5 himself, so yeah, I probably should. I think he's going to go for a c3 type move soon. But okay, let's just develop. Let's play the bishop to d7. I'm not addressing b4. I don't know that that's that great of a move for white. Not sure about a3. I feel like c3 is the move they should try to achieve to break down my d4 pawn. Okay, let's castle. He's getting creative with his pawn play. Knight coming into f5. I don't know. Not really impressed. Maybe he'll kill me on the king side, but I don't see it. I'm going to borrow a maneuver from my opponent in the last game and do this. Let's bring this rook over. Looks useful potentially on the c file. He closes it down. Wow. Okay, I really want to achieve f5. So let's do, or f6 rather. Let's do this. Maybe the knight can come to d6 favorably. He castles queenside. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. This leaves this diagonal open, but I think king h8's all right. I see what he's up to. So if take, check. Nah, that should be all right. I think I have knight d6 at the end, which stabilizes a lot of squares. Yeah, now I take away c4. I gotta hurry though. I've got a minute left. Let's go b5. Maybe knight f7 to come. Try to trade. Being wary of f4. I don't want him to get f4 in under favorable circumstances. Oh, wow. I didn't see that move. Does that even work? I don't get it. Okay, that's... Oh, he's going to go after the bishop. Ah, okay. I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that at all. All right, I'm going to go here. He can take a6, I guess. f3 is hanging. Let's take it. This is getting sharp with not a lot of time remaining. Can I take here? I think I can. And then I'm going to play knight b4 next move is the point. What a weird position. I think I'm doing well, but I'm not positive. He can bring his rook into g7. Or that. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. Shades of my game with Medieval from a couple days ago. That was nice. Bishop g5. So I got to play knight d7 here, probably. Knight d7. Guard against bishop f6. Yeah, I assumed he would recapture on g5, and then I was ready to play like bishop g6 or something. But yeah, I just blundered into mate. Nice one. Yeah, knight d7, and it's still unclear. Well, I think knight h5 caught me off guard. I felt like I had things under control until then, but I missed that my bishop on c5 would be hanging. I thought he didn't have a follow-up. Because knight takes f7, I take with the king, I'm fine. Similarly, knight takes h7, king takes, rook g7, king h8, I'm fine. But this, on the other hand, got a little weird. I thought he should have taken on a6 a move earlier rather than playing rook takes h5. Okay, interesting game. Let's get back in the pool. I doubt the opening is really any good for white. And the queen coming up to d4 just amounted to a trade. I have one extra center pawn. He's playing e4. Shouldn't be that bad for either side. It should just be about equal, I think. Maybe knight h5 and e5 was too time-consuming, but I was worried here that if I didn't play e5, that this pawn would get overextended. Like maybe they would play knight e5 coming up, and if we were to trade, the d4 pawn would be in jeopardy. All right, LPDO AFC. I'm going to play e4 this game and see what they have to throw at me. Open Sicilian. Okay, why not? Let's play a Maroczy. We'll bind up the position. I'm going to play cautious with a3 because I don't want to allow bishop b4 lines. And I know the plans like fairly well here as white, because I play this from the black side a lot. That one's a new one. Can you do that? What if I play f4? f4 take, check. Looks good for me. I dare you to take that pawn. I think you just got to go right back to d7 or c6. Knight e5 is really provocative. I think he's now seeing that knight takes, queen a4 check would be the problem. Yeah, he goes back there. Let's just play bishop e3. I want to go for f5 and try to attack him in the center. He's probably going to quickly play bishop e7 does not, though. Knight b5, any good? Or maybe rook c1 with the idea of knight d5? I'm going to try that. This is something you can sometimes do. Let's see if he picks up on that and trades on d4. But if he trades on d4, I suddenly have more of an impetus to play e5. Okay, so he might take e4 here. We'll see. But then I get to take and then play bishop f3. This could be bad for him. I'm liking white's position. So this rook c1, knight d5 idea, it happens a lot in the Sicilian. And specifically with the rook on c1, it happens a lot in hedgehog positions. Okay, so he's going to block with the knight on c5. At any rate, maybe I should play bishop f3 right away. Yeah, that might be the better move order. I'm going to do that. Because now if knight c5, I can trade and then play b4, which must be strong. I think I am just going to kill him if that happens. Whereas if I took first and he takes back and then bishop f3, he has the option of d5, which I didn't like as much. Okay, so let's take here with tempo on the bishop. Yeah, he's got to be real careful because b4 is just happening next move, and I think this has disaster written all over it for black. I'm going to take c6, probably with my knight, assuming something like knight e6. We're up on the clock, too. He can't castle because his bishop is hanging. He needs to play probably bishop f6, but it's going to get ugly. Something like knight e5 then, opening up the attack on his queen. Yeah, that's basically game over. Knight e5. Probably take on d7 is easiest here. Yeah, let's do that. King takes, wow. Queen a4 check. I guess he's kind of scampering away. King e7. Queen takes d6 almost works. Not quite. F5 could be played. It's not quite working. Rook c6. Rook c6, bishop e7 is holding. Okay, I'm just going to take the material. Let's just play queen d3. Try to attack this pawn, basically. I don't want to check him with a4 because that actually like pushes his king to where he wants to go anyways. This way his king is kept in more uncomfortable territory. I'll keep f5 as an option as well. I didn't play it right away. It might have been strong to play it, I don't know, but yeah, now he's getting ready to run. But I think this move could be good. Let's try that. I was thinking rook here now. Or sorry, bishop there. Let's do that. Attacking d6. One thing I have to bear in mind is if rook fd1, I lose f4. So let's not do that. Maybe he could play queen c6 here. His time is very low. Probably it's most practical for me to just play on the clock now. f5. f5, knight g5. I'm just going to go here, actually. Keep this rook planted there again. Let's go back. h7 is under attack. We can go win that pawn. f5, this is nice and destructive now. We can just take here. He's going to take with check, but no big deal. Sidestep. Let's go here. f7 is hard to defend. Let's give a check. And he drops his queen. Okay, so things got bloody after knight d5 was played. Yeah, this is a common blow that you want to know in hedgehog positions. That's why the knight doesn't stand so well in the hedgehog oftentimes. It's better on d7, because on c6 you can run into pin issues like this. Also, just as a general Sicilian idea, knight d5 crops up a lot. I suspect he probably should have castled right here, but even then, it's not so good. He grabbed the pawn, but bishop f3 seems like an accurate move, and that opened the floodgates. Really feels like I should have been able to kill him after king takes d7, though. Maybe he's just surviving with king e7. Surviving as in still being totally lost, but not getting mated. Just felt like I had a cleaner win. I couldn't find it. Okay, let's play maybe one more game. Some interesting games this session. Glad to get in an e4 game. The bind is double-edged. They don't call it a class opening for nothing. Class meaning you can play it for either side, and your class should really show on either side of the equation. Yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides of the coin, getting squeezed from the black side and sometimes winning in nice fashion from the black side, and also allowing a counterattack as white, and sometimes battening down all the hatches and outplaying my opponent as white. It really goes both ways in the hedgehog, which is what makes it such a fascinating opening. I think safe to say knight e5 was ill-advised because, as I was describing, knight takes a4 runs into queen a, or knight takes c4 rather runs into queen a4 check, forking the king and the knight. I already have my bishop participating. If b5 then, I was thinking actually knight d takes b5, but maybe knight c takes b5 is more accurate, just to leave the diagonal closed. Yeah, and if he takes it, he would lose the rook in the corner on a8. So I'm fairly confident that's just crushing for white. So that means if he can't take c4, then this whole knight e5 operation has been for nothing, and he's just losing time. In the Alexey bind, often white will put the pawn on f3 rather than f4. So it kind of makes me wonder if like black could argue that they're provoking f4, but I really doubt that allowing white this much play this early on and neglecting castling is good. Here, I think if I were black, I would definitely play bishop e7 and then castle as soon as possible. If bishop e7, rook c1, maybe knight takes d4. That's probably the move black should have played to avoid issues with knight d5. Need to swap there. The risk they run in that case, though, is that I take with the bishop and then try to go for e5, perhaps. But that looks much better than the game. All right, I'm still waiting on my last game of the session. Anything else of note in this game? Just the opening. After knight c3, black can try bishop b4 if they want right here. It's very sharp though, and I got to admit I don't know it that well for either color. I mostly play as black does. Go queen c7 and just adopt a standard hedgehog formation. So the bishop b4 lines, there was this game I played in standard against the Riga Magician where I tried that approach and I kind of got killed. I didn't get a terrible position out of the opening, but I got an unfamiliar one, and white punished me tactically in nice fashion. I'm having a really hard time getting a game right now. It's currently about 11:15 p.m. at night. You guys will be seeing this shortly after it's over, this session. Maybe I can go look at that previous game because we kind of glossed over that one a little bit. I'm probably going to get a game as soon as I pull this up. And yes, I do. Playing the same guy, incidentally. All right, so this is the revenge game. I'm going to try to take down Dpache. Okay. That's an interesting line. I'm just going to play it kind of standard and allow the trade here. He's going for kind of like a improved version of a Dutch. I'm going to fianchetto. And probably fianchetto the dark square bishop as well. That can often be the plan here. Yeah, let's play b4 and look to play bishop b2. One idea that's real common in these scenarios is d5, so I might look for an opportunity to do that. We'll see. And then if pawn takes, you can go knight d4 and try to play off of that. Yeah, his move makes it a little harder for me to do that. I think I'm going to take this way and open the queen. You can take either way. B takes or D takes. Probably he'll take with a B pawn if I had to guess. And he does. So let's do this. I want to take E5, but it doesn't work. I don't think. Does knight H4 work? Probably not. Yeah, he could just swap, but I get some nice squares to work with there, so I think I'm going to give that a shot. Maybe he goes knight E4, but I have queen C2. And then knight takes f5 is a threat. Here, if knight takes f5, queen e6 seems to cover everything. So I'm going to take this way and try to use the e3 square to my advantage. I have a majority on the queen side that I would also like to unlock. Wow, that's reckless. Or interesting, maybe. Okay, I'm going to take. I'm curious if you're going to open this entire diagonal for me. Okay, you guys know I'm greedy. Knight here, I have queen e3. I think I'm holding everything there. If queen g5, I have knight g2. Let's see. Otherwise, knight d5 is coming next. Maybe he'll play rook e8. Yeah, so we got to bring this back. But what's his follow-up? Okay, so if I take with the knight, I don't think I'm losing anything. Take with a pawn is ugly, so I'd prefer to avoid that. Yeah, let's do this. Also defends the c4 pawn, which is helpful. Rook d1, knight takes f2, take. Rook takes e3, take. I win d6 at the end, but he wins e2. Okay, so he's threatening knight takes f2. If I play knight d5, he's going knight there. Okay, I think I'm going to play this just for convenience sake. I know he can take here, but we'll see how that pans out. Also, I thought of an improvement on the last line I mentioned as well. f3? f3, Let's bring this back. Weird looking move, but it might be good. I want to go f3 and maybe e4. If possible. This guy's really pesky. He's playing good moves too. I see his point. That's a good move. How do I deal with that? Okay, I'm going to go here and go back. I'm really down on time, though. Yeah, threats on e2 and also with h3 coming. Let's do this. I'm going to give up e2. We're just going to let him take that. Come here. Rook takes e3. Walked right into it. Maybe I can regain the piece, actually. It's not yet lost. That's pure luck, though, if this actually works. Okay. You know what? I'm going to try this. It's not good, but I'm going to try it. Knight g1 is good here. I wasn't looking forward to defending that endgame. Okay, let's push this. Try to activate a little bit. This is not looking promising. I can't go to d5 is one of the problems here. Is he just checks me on the d file. I'm so far down on time too. Now my pawn is blocked as well. Yeah, this is over. Tough opponent. Yeah, he's tricky. And he was down a pawn there, but he made up for it with this activity. Can't believe how strong knight g5 was. So my issues here are e2 is hanging. Also, knight h3 check is a threat. It's a double attack. And I didn't see a good way to defend against it other than bringing my knight back to e3. Yeah, it looks annoying. If h4, knight h3 check, king h2, knight takes f2 is working for him. Objectively, I think I should be good here. I mean, I don't think black has enough compensation, but I might need a more precise continuation than rook d1, knight g2. And the other thing is I was burning a lot of time, too, which always is bad when you're in a tough position and you're burning time. Yeah, and here I was lucky to have this. I just didn't want to go into this endgame. King or rook takes e2, he takes h2. I guess I could have played king back to g2 here. I should have done that. King g2 covering the h-pawn. And if rook e1, king f2, and we have a little repetition, that might be something. I'm sure black is better here, though. Yeah, and the endgame is just losing. I was trying to swindle something in time pressure. Even taking g7 is interesting here. No, that doesn't work. Never mind. I was thinking take g7, queen takes g7, queen takes g7, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, knight e6. The problem with this line is he doesn't even have to go for that. He can play, after bishop takes g7, rook takes f4. So that's not working. Yeah, just need something more precise here. Some consolidating measure, and it should be good. I thought about f3, but f3 allows knight d2, so rook d1 was trying to cover the d2 square. Then again, maybe he has compensation here, and I'm just overestimating my position because I'm greedy, materialistic. Anyways, some interesting games. What was the final tally? I think I only lost to Dpache. I lost to him twice. Otherwise, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 wins. So 4-2. Hope you guys enjoyed these games. And I'll be back again soon with another video. Talk to you guys later. Bye.